Hello everybody, it's Zach here from RealEstateLicenseWizard.com. How's it going today? Hopefully pretty amazing. Today we're doing another real estate exam practice question. Today's question 154. Don't forget to smash that like button to support the channel. And without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Alright, so today we're going to be talking about some super interesting concepts. So let's get started and let's take a look at this question. Question states, a lender's refusal to lend money to potential homeowners attempting to purchase property located in predominantly minority neighborhoods is, and it gives us four options. A, steering, B, redlining, C, price fixing, or D, block busting. So like always, I'm going to give you guys an opportunity. Think it over, reread it, do all that stuff right now. Go ahead and do it now. Yeah. Alright, so if you need more time, feel free to pause, but I'm going to go into the answer and explanation. So let's kind of take a step back before we figure this out for a moment. You guys need to be familiar with these antitrust law violations as well as fair housing violations, all of that stuff. It's super important to understand for the exam. So if none of these words look familiar to you at all, I highly encourage you guys to do your research, study these, because this is a big portion of the exam. So yeah, that was my little shtick. Now I'll get into the answer. All right, so what is the correct answer for this one? Well, it's going to be B, redlining. It is redlining. Okay, so a lender's refusal to lend money to potential homeowners attempting to purchase property located in predominantly minority neighborhoods is redlining. Now, what's interesting, because I know a lot of you guys probably put A for steering. Steering is the illegal practice of channeling home seekers to particular areas, either to maintain an image or, change the area, which limits their choices on, or, how they want to live, things like that. So what's interesting is steering is actually a form of redlining. Now it's worth mentioning that because people often mix these two things up. Steering is a form of redlining, but they are not exactly the same things. So when you're learning or when you're thinking of redlining, actually, fun little history thing. They got the name because years ago, in the banks, these lenders, they'd have a map of the entire area, and they would literally write lines. They'd have red areas where certain neighborhoods were, and they would refuse to lend money to certain minorities in those areas, and that's where they got the name redlining. So again, when we're looking at things from the outside looking in, we have to remember that steering, is a form of redlining, because once they came up with that, once they figured out that the banks were doing that, they took that term redlining and they kind of put it in a larger perspective. And basically, from there, they made all these different terms and they've kind of addressed, all the issues and things like that. But for your sake, to simplify things, when you see something that has to do with the lender refusing money, typically that's going to be redlining. When you see steering or even price fixing, block busting, a lot of these other ones, it's more or less going to have to deal with agents. Now, technically speaking, an agent could perform redlining. But again, I don't want to get this too complicated and too confusing for you guys. For the exam and for your guys' sake, to keep it super simple, when you guys see lenders and lenders refusing to lend money, and think of that story I gave you. Think of the banks, the lenders, and when back in the day they had literally a map of the city and they were outlining areas. How horrible is that, right? But that's where they get the name redlining. So again, if you see that, go with redlining. Don't think twice, because again, all these other different things, which we'll cover later on, and I have covered on this channel, have to do with different violations or different fair housing or antitrust violations. So don't overthink this. Don't overthink this. Just when you think of lender, think of the bank, think of that story I gave you guys about how they had the map in the bank, and you know that that is redlining. So a little bit of a tangent there, but I really wanted to get this through to you guys because this is one of the most commonly confused, commonly mistakes that I see, that we see. People get confused with this kind of stuff. So hopefully you understand that. And that's going to be it for this question. So hopefully you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications so you guys can pass the exam no problem. Remember, new content, guys. New content every week on this channel. Whether it's a question, whether it's one of our community posts where we discuss something about the exam every week. And of course, we have tons of resources on our website. Check that out. Anyways, this is Zach from RealEstateLicenseWizard.com. As always, guys, make today magical. See you guys next time.